morning. We have with us the esteemed Alex Golden, motivational speaker, and I should say international motivational speaker. I've known him for a long time. We're honored to have him spend some time with us to motivate our audience on Black Economics TV. Alex Golden, welcome.
Hi, Dawn. How you doing?
I'm fine.
I don't know about esteemed. But hey, I'm here. I'm the
average
guy.
Esteemed and highly favored and full of grace. God has been good to you and given you so many talents.
Oh, thank you.
I'm glad that you're here to brush off some of those talents onto other people as well. So tell us about yourself, Alex. Tell us about your life, your early start. Give us a brief synopsis of how you got to where you are today.
Which one? The 2-hour version, the 1-hour version, the half-an-hour version? Which one?
The 5-minute version.
The 5-minute version. All right, let's drop into 5 minutes then. Let's drop into 5 minutes. The city of London, working, grassing, spending 12 hours a day at work as an accountant and thinking there's more to my life than this. There's more to my life. You know, there's one time in my life, I was working so hard. And when my wife spoke to me about the length of time I was working, I thought she was the enemy. And my kids were young, and at that point in time, I was prepared to walk out of my family life because I thought they were the enemy. I thought they wanted to stop me from success. I was just working every hours that God's given because I figured that was it. My dad was a hard worker. He was a contractor. So I grew up in Jamaica. I was born here, but went to the Caribbean. I grew up in Jamaica with my dad on building sites. And in my summer holidays, I was on building sites. On weekends, I was on building sites. So I was grafting.
Wow.
I was used to grafting. So I applied the same thing. If I graft hard enough, I'll become successful. But my wife said, that doesn't work, Alex, because you're just doing that for yourself. What do you mean I'm doing that for myself? I'm doing it for the family. No, Alex, you're doing it for yourself. I grafted, man. And I got to the point in the city where I thought, you know what? There has to be more to this in my life. And a guy I hired to do some work for me in the city one day sat me down and said, Alex, you're not enjoying what you're doing. Your heart's not here. Your heart's not in this job, man. All those conferences that you go to, those small church groups that you talk about, that where you go and speak, that's what you need to be doing. This was 2002. I'm thinking, you're right, but how am I going to do that? How am I going to shift? Well, I had an amazing opportunity. One day, my boss came to me and she said, Alex, you remind me of Tony Robbins. I said, what do you mean remind me of Tony Robbins? She said, yeah, your mannerisms, you got a big personality.
Wow.
Tony Robbins. And then this one thing gave me confidence in life again. For years, I was telling my wife, I'm going to go to Australia. Someone's going to pay for me to go to Australia. I just feel it. I know it. She said, yeah, all right. I used to say every year I'd go home and make this comment. One day my boss came to me and said, there's a meeting in Australia to look at a new software. I can't go, but as the management accountant, do you want to go? Is your passport in order? What do you mean is my passport in order? Is it not in order because you think I'm black? No, Alex, no. Can you go to Australia? Yes, man. What do you mean? Man, I booked it, went down to the embassy, got my visa. Why are you going to Australia? What purpose? I'm going on business. Prove it, man. When that car came and picked me up, no. Let's roll back here. When I went home and I said to Sharon, I'm going to Australia. She looked at me, mouth open. What? Yes, I'm going to Australia. It's booked. I told you, faith works. Man, a car came and picked me up. Booked through Virgin. Car came and picked me up, business class, from house to the business lounge. Didn't have to queue, nothing. Sat in the business lounge and went business class to Australia.
Wow.
Man, I was just in awe. When I got to Australia, I'm thinking, man, I'm made. And because they thought I was American as well, there was no concept of British black at that time in Australia. So they thought I was American, and the hotel I stayed in, they thought I had money. So, hey, they just treated me with, utmost respect because he has to be American, Alex Golden. went to the meetings each day. And then on the one night, I went to a church called Hillsong because I had to see Hillsong. I saw Hillsong on TV all the time. And I thought I just have to go and see what these guys do. Man, when I went there, I was just in awe of the size and the the magnitude and the vision, what these guys had, what they were mapping out for themselves. When I came back to London, I was on fire. I was on fire about what do I do with my own life? I talked about it so much. My pastor said, why don't you go back? Why don't you go back and live there, mate? You love it. But no, I had to really think about my life and what I wanted to do. And I was at that time talking about dreams all the time, because I was the men's director for men's ministry for my church, New Testament Church of God, nationally across the country. That came about because I ran a local program in my church called Boys to Men. The boys were bored with Sunday school. So they asked me, what can you do with the boys? So I ran this program called Boys to Men in Sunday school. And we talked about football all the time. The boys were fighting to come to Sunday school. Why? Because they were talking about football. They were talking about what they wanted to do. And I had to find a way to link it back to scripture every time. But it went good. So I was then asked to run the national program across the country for men. And I adopted Boys to Men as a summer program. And that was tremendous. I also did, you can't make men do anything that they want to do. Do you know that, Dawn?
Yes.
You can't force a man to do nothing, no matter how good you think you are. Now, I had all these women coming to me and said, can you talk to my husband for me? What do you mean talk to your husband? Well, you seem to have something going with men's ministry. I want him to come. So the only thing I could do with men was start talking about their dreams. Their dreams, where you want to go, what do you want to do? What do you want to do with your life? And I had to be serious about it. Every time I opened my mouth, that's all I talked about. What's your dream? What's your dream? Where are you going? What do you want to do with your life? What do you want to do? Is this it? Are you stopping here? Are you dying here? Is there more to you, man? So on the back of that, I wrote a book called What Is Your Dream? I gave away more copies than I actually sold, because I was just a dream ambassador, getting guys to shift, to make that energy shift. And sometimes when you are talking, the very thing that you're talking about is also meant for you.
Yes.
It's meant for you. So every time I talk, I was shifting myself as well to say, right, what is my dream? What am I going to do? How am I going to do this? And when I started going out and then talking commercially in networking groups, I had men, this is about 2010 now, I had men look at me and say, we ain't got time for our dreams, Alex, because we're so busy working. That time coaching hasn't taken off in the UK as much. We're so busy, we're grafting. And I said, no, man, you've got a dream. You've got something inside of you. You only have one life to live. So I was doing this all the time inside church, but I just changed the audience and took this out to a commercial audience who were working and so intense with their work, just didn't think about the lives they wanted. And that just got me on this road, creating. I read a book called The Tools of Public Speaking, the nuts and bolts of public speaking. Someone gave this to me and said, Alex, you need to read this because I see this is where you're going. Craig Valentine mentored me, went on this program. And because I came from church, I preached a lot. But you can't preach to a secular audience. They don't want to preach. They want stories. They want to know how you did it. So it kind of changed the way I spoke, changed the way I presented, but still kind of maintaining some of the passion that I had for what I did. And I remember speaking at Royal Bank of Scotland one evening after work. And I went there and they said to me, Alex, we've got 40 people here. They're yours. What are you going to do with them? Oh my God. I said, okay, what can I do with these people that's going to really connect with them, initiate? What's my pattern interrupt, man? I just took to the stage, raised my hands in the air and said, guys, look around you. Look into the person's face around you. What do you see? Man, that's the same thing I think I would have done at church, all right? But I just let it go in that meeting. And people just started walking around, looking at each other. And I said, now, say to the person, you're awesome. It's almost like fire broke out in that room. This woman came to me after and she said, Alex, I have never looked into someone's eyes like that I don't know and told them you're awesome. I felt the energy cross between us.
Wow.
I felt the energy in the room. It was just so intense.
Wow.
And that's what I knew, that, you know what we have inside church, we need to take it out to the world. Because it's a proper training ground. But we're so cocooned inside the box that we don't think we can take it to where the grass is not green. Yeah. So we preach to the converted all the time. But there's a world out there who are waiting for something else. Something else. And that's what got me into creating Master Your Message. I created Master Your Message, started coaching people to speak, presenting, getting them to tap into their inner voice, their passion, the message that they've got. And while at this time, I'm still listening to the American guys because they're ahead of us. They're ahead of us. They know how to tap things. They know how to take stories out of biblical stories and put it into secular environments. And the only time you know it's a biblical story is because you've heard it before. But the secular environment, I listen to thinking, I've never heard this before. And I remember one of my young what do you call them now, mentees. And one day I said to him, you need to tap into the story of your life to speak. And mix it with the stuff that you preach about all the time. And he went to a conference and spoke about the Good Samaritan. He spoke about the Good Samaritan in this conference on mental health. Doctors and nurses came up to him after and said, we've never heard about this Good Samaritan model. Where did you get it from? Where is it written down? Man, he just laughed.
Yeah.
We have something that we can use to change the world.
Yeah.
Make it a better place.
Yeah.
If we realize the power that we have as individuals.
So your transition from work, you left work in what year? Tell us what the transition was like from work to working on your own business.
So 2002, I started thinking about it. All right. 2004, I was still messing around. But 2002, the job I was in, they called me into the office one day. They called me into the office one day and said, we're going to let you go. New boss. Oh my God, you're going to let me go? Great. I laughed. I smiled. The guy said, the CEO said, are you okay, Alex? Is anything wrong with you? I said, I'm fine. I'm just going. I went back to my desk. Now, because of in church, you got a lot of professional people around you. And my lawyer friend rang me at that moment in time. He rang me in the office at work and said, I don't know if you know Isaac Carter. He rang me and said, are you okay? I just felt to call you at this time, man.
Oh, wow.
This is what's happening, my brother. He said, okay, let's clarify some points. Go back into the office and say these exact words. Went back into the office, these exact words, and walked out that day and never went back. Yeah, they made a settlement. And, I never looked back. And that was December 2002. And I'm thinking, what am I going to do with myself in the new year? In the new year, I put an advert out. In the new year, I put an advert out because I couldn't get any jobs. There was no work. I put an advert out. And I started my own accountancy firm.
Okay.
My very first client was a company called The Projects Company. And we worked together for about 4 years. And when I went to see this lady, she said to me, Alex, I just love your personality. Are you sure you're an accountant? She said, I like the energy that you bring. I like the energy that you have. And after about a year, she then came back and said, Alex, I would like you to help us deliver our program in the City of London. And she was doing like capacity building around project management, around some key skills. Now, I hadn't actually done a project management qualification as such, but she said to me, Alex, you're so adaptable that I know if you put your head inside that training, you will tweak it and make it your own. So what did I do? I tweaked it and made it my own.
Of course.
All right. So when I spoke about project management, I was able to relate project management to the projects that we were running inside church. And because I sat on quite a few committees, I just applied it to what we did inside church, to the programs I was running, Boys to Men across the country, some of the seminars I was speaking at. Man, she said to me, Alex, you're awesome. Do you know that you're awesome? She said, Alex, you are awesome. I continued. And that was my very first client in my accountancy firm, and it grew. But the problem with that, I created the job I hated because I wasn't supposed to go and start an accounting firm. There was more in me. There was an IT guy at head office in UT, and one day he said to me, Alex, you need to come from behind the desk. You are trying to stay behind the desk too much. I thought, my God, what are you telling me? Come from behind the desk. And so I built a business, which I hated to do, and it climaxed in about 2010. It climaxed in 2010, and I had to shut it down. It caused me so much stress. I had people working for me. I had niche markets in the city, but I just couldn't take it. If I do it any longer, it would kill me. So I shut it down. And me and my wife started Dream Success coaching. Now, the funny thing about with Dream Success, I went on TV on, what's the channel called again? Believe TV. We ran a program called Get Focused. And I remember saying, oh my God, I need to impact 15,000 people in their lives. 15,000 people I'm going to impact. This is the program. And I'm talking. And I think it was you who rang me up and said, Alex, do you realize the TV program that you're on goes to nearly 40 million, over 4 million people in Africa? I said, my God, that means I've already spoken to 15,000 people.
Well, of course.
And so the transition from doing my own thing, from accounting, creating what you know, because we're technicians really, we jump into what we know as a technician to run it as a business, which doesn't make sense sometimes. And then I stepped into the coaching, wrote the book called What Is Your Dream? 2012, I was out there speaking a lot more, meetings, talking to people, using my book as a business card, and just asking the question, what is your dream? Barclays Bank approached me. We had a conversation. Well, nothing really came of it, but the fact that they approached me and we had a very good session about what is your dream, because at that time they were thinking about how do we use you in our kind of environment. But I was green. I didn't know what to do. I just kept talking because I was so excited that the guy from Barclays Bank wanted to talk to me. And then he said to me, you know how I came across you? I said, no. He said, I had this box delivered to my house of books that a friend of mine had bought and said, I'm clearing out some books. Do you want these box of books on personal development? And he said, yes. And when I got these box of books, in the box was your book called What Is Your Dream? I read the book and I thought I had to make contact with you. I just had to meet you. Oh,
wow, it's amazing.
It's so amazing. It's so amazing how things can work out when you push yourself out. When you push yourself out and you apply what you know, but the thing about it is it's not about you knowing all the steps. It's not about you knowing all the steps. It's about you taking the first step. One step leads to another. One step opens another door. One step. So imagine that from accountancy to project management, to do capacity building, all this was doing was building my confidence to go out there and talk to people I've never really met and hold the audience and use what I have to make a connection with them. That's what it is. And the more you do that, the better you become.
So you later on came across ClickFunnels, and apparently you were at a conference with them the other night. Tell us about that.
Well, the irony was I came across ClickFunnels in 2012, 2013, when ClickFunnels was at the very early version. The very first thing they put out as ClickFunnels, which wasn't very good at the time, was something like $47 a month. I looked at it and thought, this is good. But what they were asking for, I thought, no, man, this is too big for me. So I left it in the background and just watched it grow over the years. And by 2016, 2018, 2019, this guy, Russell Brunson, had created $1 billion company from making internet marketable accessible to everybody. He didn't create anything new. All he did was make it accessible to everybody and packaged it very well. And if you watch some of his videos, the very early of his videos when he couldn't talk, he couldn't speak, he couldn't sell, he couldn't do anything at all. But it didn't stop him creating a platform that helped other people to prosper. It's amazing. And so this week was FH Funnel Hackers Live 2021. 2020 was the first time I went online. I took my son with me. My son was so engrossed into it that after 3 days, he went and created a ClickFunnels account and spent 2 weeks in his bedroom and didn't come out with his mates.
Wow.
And they mastered creating funnels, creating marketing funnels. Now,
Are you saying he was in there with his mates?
With his mates on Zoom. So he had 3 of his mates, one's graphics, one something else, and 2 of them are just in the funnels themselves.
Wow.
And so, but the other one is formatting the images that they need to give it the effect they need for the funnel. Tremendous.
Wow.
And so when I saw the spark in my son and thought, wow. So I went on to ClickFunnels and said, official, and said, my son has just taken to this, like, you know, and one of the guys came back and said, do you realize that's the greatest gift you've ever given your son? The ability to create funnels, yeah? To create marketing funnels so that he can help people, you know? And so 2021, ClickFunnels, I wanted to go in person, but hey, flight restrictions. So I'm online. So for the past 2 days, from 5 o'clock till 2 a.m. in the morning, I'm online and Zoom, making noise, screaming, listening to entrepreneurs across the world speak about their success, speak about, and the thing about this, nobody's hiding what they do. Nobody. They're telling you what they do. They're telling you how to do this, how to do Facebook ads. They're telling you what worked in their business. Here's my funnel, share it. Nobody's hiding anything. Everybody's saying, here you are, guys. Here you are. There's even one woman that, and this is a story that they've told. She was in the weight loss arena and she'd written a book and she'd written a program and she was filming one day and she said, she don't know what happened to her because she just had a baby because she wanted to get herself back in shape. And she peed herself on camera. She peed herself on camera.
Wow.
So I think she was ready to say, you know what, edit that out. I don't want that shown. The guy said to her, you're crazy. You're crazy. You keep that video in there, mate. You keep that video in there. When the ebook went viral with her doing that, she sold over 1 million copies of that. Wow. I think the total calculation was her program with the ebook generated her over 4 million.
Wow.
It went viral because she was real. When you hear the stories, you walk away from that, you're thinking, man, I've got to move. I can't stand still. I've got to keep moving. I've got to keep moving. I've got to keep trying. And sometimes that's what we're missing in Great Britain. We're missing that in our community. Something that edges you on, something that says you go and you go, okay, I can do this. I can do this. If he can do this, I can do this. And none of the guys in there are saying that they're coming from $1 million environments. No, they've started something, the struggle, they work hard, they make it happen. Russell Brunson himself said twice he almost approached bankruptcy. Twice he was at the door of bankruptcy. Twice he was kicked out of the offices because he couldn't pay the rent. He had to get rid of staff because he couldn't pay them. And every time what saved him was creating a funnel. Every time was creating a funnel. And he just got better and better and better. And the better he got, the more people he mentored. The more people he mentored, the more people they mentored. The more people they mentored, everyone just kept mentoring each other. And so ClickFunnels celebrates every year with an award for those who've done 6 figures, 8 figures, and 10 figures. Those who've done 1 million, those who've done 2 million, some who've done 25 million, some who've done 50 million with their funnels. And last year they created an award for those who've done 1 million, over 1 million, and given away 1 million to charity.
Oh, wow.
Man, isn't that stuff that changes the world?
Yeah, exactly.
So you can't run a business unless there's money flowing through. You can't. And sometimes in Great Britain, we get lost with the idea that, okay, if I start this idea, if I make it a charity, and apply to government for funding, and I can make it work. And it doesn't work, because as soon as the policy changes, as soon as the government says to you, we're not interested anymore, your idea is dead in the wood. But these guys are saying, no, don't do that. Start a business, leverage the business, leverage the audience, and take the money and put it inside the charity and change people's lives.
Yeah. So business first, business principles first.
Business first all the time. Business first all the time. But when you hear the speakers, and there's one guy that just sends the wave through me, because he comes from church. And in my early years, I saw church as the catalyst that was going to change the world. Tell me I was naive or what? I saw church as the catalyst that was going to change the world. And so I jumped in, I gave it my energy. And, there were guys who said, Alex, if you help, if you make a difference, you can make a difference here. But what then happened, if you're in a box, you become caved into a box and a concept, an idea of a certain time. The guys don't understand you because they're not where you are. And every time you're in conflict with them, every time you're in conflict because of the ideas you're coming out with. And in the end, they just kind of see, oh, here he comes again. Oh, do you know what I mean? And then you realize, I've outgrown this. I've outgrown where I am. I need to go where I can grow. And sometimes we don't get to that realization very quickly, that the environments in which we are, we've outgrown it. We've outgrown the thinking, we've outgrown everything about that organization. But I still have to say thank you to the Windrush generation, who came, who worked hard, didn't ask anybody for anything in this country. They took all the abuse and they worked hard so that we, the next generation, can have a better life, can be educated. And so we owe it to ourselves to step everything up. Step everything up. But the challenge we have with church, it's that it's not our thing. It's what the previous generation created. We've grown up in it. We tried to help lift it, but they don't see that. And so their idea and their concept is based on something they were familiar with 20 years ago. But we're in the now. We're seeing things now, and we want to make things happen today, faster, quicker than ever. And the internet makes it possible to do that. Yeah.
That's interesting. So who was that person who stood out for you?
Sorry?
Who was the person that stood out for you at this ClickFunnels conference?
Woo! I need to get a cloth now, wipe my brow, wipe my forehead. There's a guy called Myron Golden. And I came across Myron Golden about 10 years ago at a conference in the UK. And this was, Wayne Malcolm. Remember Wayne Malcolm, CLC?
Yes.
Wayne Malcolm is one of those guys who is a business bishop, and he's tried connecting both worlds. He's a forerunner in church world, talking about business, educating about business. He's a forerunner. And he had Myron come to one of his conferences. And Myron was talking about his journey from trash man to cash man. Yeah, he was a bin man at one time in his life. He was a bin man on £6 an hour just to make sure his family can eat.
Oh.
Yeah. He said he was in this sales job, and it took him 18 to 24 months to make his first sale before he became the best salesman in that business.
18 to 24 months.
18 to 24 months to make his first sale. He was doing loads of presentations, but it wasn't clicking with the people. Yeah. But roll forward 10, 15 years later, when this guy goes on stage, people are just dropping around him. When they talk about him at the ClickFunnels conference, they talk about him with awe. That when he goes on stage and when he talks to you and when he shares his life with you, you just want to buy everything he's got. And he says this. He says, guys, I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm not here trying to sell you anything. I'm just educating you.
That's amazing.
To take you to the next level.
To have that kind of power. That's just amazing.
That's all I'm doing. And he says, I have no apologies that my principles come from the Bible. And I teach Solomon all the time. Who? He's the richest man. And if I'm talking about Solomon, who was a trillionaire before the guys here were trillionaires. then I have nothing to lose. And that's what he does. His coaching programs, and he's not cheap. He's not cheap. But he says, I have to stretch you. If I don't stretch you, you won't climb. You won't sail. If I meet you in your comfort zone, I will do nothing for you. I want to find what's in you. I want to find the gift that's in you. I want to help that come out. But to do that, I've got to stretch you. And in one of the sessions, he pointed to this woman and he said, didn't I stretch you? Yeah. And he called her name out. I forgot what her name was. And she said, yeah. And he said, about 3 years ago, she came to him and said, my coaching business is doing X amount. I'm struggling to make it grow. I want to come onto your coaching program. And he said, yeah, no problem. It's going to cost you $21,000. She looked at him as if to say, where on earth am I going to get $21,000? He said, well, hey, that's a price. She maxed out her card to put a deposit down of $2,000. And a bit 3 or 4 weeks later, when she's supposed to bring the balance, she came back to him and said, I can't find the rest of the money. He looked at her and he said, most people, when they've got to provide the rest of the money for you, they disappear. You don't find them. They just hide from you. Yeah. But the mere fact that she came to me and told me, I thought, okay, let's help you. And he sat her down and he took her through some steps about what to do in the business, how to do it, how frequently to do it. And she did it. And I think it's about 4 to 6 weeks later, she came back and she had the rest of the money for the coaching program.
Wow.
He said, I am here to stretch you. And that's the only way I can stretch you. Because when you dig deep and you do what you've got to do, it'll change your life and change the lives of other people. Now, this is Myron Golden. I'm thinking, oh my God, this is just blowing my brain. So every misconception that we have about money, and he laid it down. He said, what does money and blood have in common? What does money and blood have in common? He said, number one, they're both stored in a bank. Yeah, money bank, blood bank. Okay, all right, you got me there. I hadn't thought about that one. He said, number two, you need money to circulate, don't you? The economy needs money to circulate for it to survive. Blood needs to circulate in your body. You need blood to circulate. So you need blood and money are the same things. And then he says, everybody needs money and everybody needs blood. It's a source. It's a medium. You have to have it. And so you can't run a business without money. You can't run a charity without money. You can't run a church without money. But then we've kind of grown up with this kind of apologetic nature about money. We're scared. We're frightened to talk about money. We don't give it the energy that we need to give it. So when we do speak, when we do present, we kind of hide ourselves because, oh, is it a sin to make so much money? Oh my God, is I can't do. Now he just laid it down for us, man. And he said the one thing, he said this one thing, and he said, write this down. He said, make a note of this. I'm telling you to make a note of this. There are some professions that you could do away with and the world will still survive. Yeah, you could minimize them and it still survive.
Yes.
But he says, there's one profession. If you took away all the salespeople in the world and dismissed them, the world could not function. Woo! Wow. Because you need salespeople. So he says, we have this concept in our head that salespeople are dirty. So when we come into selling, we have loads of wars to fight in our minds because we don't like selling. But without selling, you can't run your business. Without selling, you can't raise an offering. Without selling, you can't get the job. You can't get the job for the interview. We're selling ourselves every day of our lives. So he said, you need to get this into your head that sales is good. And what you're doing is giving people an opportunity to serve them through the sales that you make. That's Myron Golden for you.
Wow. That is powerful.
Man, I sat there and I thought, Alex, what are you doing? You're in comfort zone land. You're not cranking it up enough. Because through lockdown, I started the Message Talk Show. And the concept of the Message Talk Show, along with Master Your Message, which I run, is to help small coaches and businesses, get them out there, talking out to themselves. They're shy of being on camera, help them to be on camera, help them to talk. And there's some people that I talk to, when I do the pre-interview, they'll say things like, oh, I don't really talk online. I don't really speak in front of the camera. I don't have a lot to say.
Oh, really?
I don't, it's not me. But I say, no problem. Once you get on, I'll help you. You see, by the time 10 minutes, 15 minutes go by in the interview, man, they don't want to stop. I'm saying, okay, guys, 30 minutes up now, and I've got to close the program. Oh, can I give one more point? Can I do one more point? Okay, one more point. 5 minutes later, one more point. 10 minutes later, I said, oh no, I've got to close. People get so excited talking about what they do, talking about changing the world.
Yes, yes.
And that's what we're here to do, make that big difference. And that's what the conference this week just sparked me. It sparked my energy. It sparked everything about me and said, this is the time. We've lost so many people in the past year. So many people, so many great people. So many people who've mentored and been in front of me, older than me. And with that generation almost delayering and disappearing, who else is there? Myron says, nobody's going to come to save you, my brother. No one. If you don't save yourself, he said, the only one who said he came to save people, they crucified him on the cross.
Yeah, it's true.
So you better start saving yourself.
What's his earnings like?
He says he has $100,000 days. His mentees have $100,000 days. He has $1 million days. His mentees has $1 million days.
$1 million in one day?
$1 million in one day.
Wow.
Yeah. He said he met someone for the first time. This was in a restaurant. He met someone from a company who just wanted some advice from him. And he said by the time he was finished, he offered the guy a program for his company. And the guy said, okay, I'm sold. 400,000 was his fee for that program. Yeah.
Really?
400,000. He got his secretary, he rang the secretary, please send this guy a purchase order. And then he outsourced the work to someone in his network for half the price.
Oh.
Oh, can you do that? Hey, man, you can do anything you want. It's your business. So someone else did the work and he earned himself half of the money.
Wow.
Sometimes we put limitations on ourselves. We put limitations on the way we work and how we can work because we're constantly asking for permission to do things. Do you ask for permission to sleep? You ask for permission to eat? But yet, see, there's things out there you're waiting for someone to give you permission. And because you're waiting for someone to give permission, you can't do what you came to do. Because there's more in you, but only you can get it out.
Yeah.
Help. Yeah. But yeah, he amazed me. I just soaked in what this guy, I went and watched his videos. I just soaked him in. I'm thinking, how comes I haven't seen this before? How comes I didn't see this before? But when he tells you the story of his own life and the 2008 crash that happened in the world and how that affected him, and when he came across ClickFunnels, I think it was 2010, and he made the decision to tap into this program, even though finding the money was to pay to go into it was difficult, he decided, he made a decision. And by making that decision, he took his 2 children with him and he went on the training with his kids to understand how he can use this software for his marketing, his business. And that changed his life forever. So imagine you have a network of guys now that you're now talking to, that you're on a mastermind program with, You meet up twice a year in this mastermind program. When you want to test your training, you test your training with the mastermind in the mastermind program with a group of guys in the mastermind program. When you want testimonials, you're testing it again with the mastermind program with people in the mastermind program. So everything you do is in your mastermind program. So by the time you push it out to the rest of the world, it's already a success, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You're not scrounging for people to say, try this or try that, because you're in a community of entrepreneurs.
So you made a decision after this recent conference. What did you decide to do?
Right, so I sat down, and there were some things I've been contemplating. I can't do that now. I can't do that. But I thought, you know what? The one thing that Richard Branson did very well was create a community. And the one thing that he encourages all his mentees to do is create a community of entrepreneurs that want to win, a community of entrepreneurs that want to succeed, and help everybody succeed. And the more you help other people succeed is the more that you succeed in your own life. So how do you do that? So at 4 a.m. in the morning, I sat down, I took my pen and said, okay, Alex, what am I going to do to raise the game in the UK? What am I going to do to help even some of my church entrepreneurs raise the game? Because even through my interviews in Master in the Message Talk Show, I've come across some guys who've kind of pulled out of church to run their businesses, because they said when they tried to collaborate with the church, it just couldn't happen. But when they moved out and created their own charities, it just took off. I'm thinking, how can I lift the lid? How can I help lift the lid? How can I help? But there was one thing that Myron had said, and Russell taught it again this week. These are direct words from Russell about what Myron had said. And Myron talks about the value that we bring to society in which we live. And he said, pre-industrialization, we worked with our muscles, physical strength, to make a living and to add value. Yeah, pre-industrialization. Industrialization came along and that intensified. We had the division of labor, and therefore we moved from farms to the cities, from Jamaica to the cities of London to work, because of industrialization. That was work with muscle. Because we did that, the next stage was then creating supervisors to manage the workforce. So there was another layer of management created all the time to look after the workforce that was working. Yeah. So from the management section, we created the professionals, the professional basis of solicitors, the professional base of accountants, the professional managers who then acted in the middle between the owners of production and the guys doing the actual work on the ground. Yep. So that was the middle sector of managing. And then from managing, we went to the guys who made money with their message. Yeah. So I'm thinking, okay, who's he talking about now? He said the guys who made money with their message, the guys who sing, the guys who rap, they made money with their message. They make money with their message. Now, you know what? I never liked rappers at one time in my life. For the connotations, for the negative connotations that they used to rap about women, I think, my God, this is terrible. But one thing that these guys did, they created an industry of their own, yeah, that they took a portion of. All right. So it doesn't matter who the guys up the extreme top of the record labels, these guys rapping and creating a genre for themselves that nobody could touch, that there was no competition in. And that was one of the things that made me go and read Jay-Z's autobiography. There was an autobiography done, but although it was unauthorized, but there's no autobiography of Jay-Z. And I read how Jay-Z came from rapping on the streets, selling his CD from the boot of his car, to building an industry that people want to be part of. Yeah? They said this guy was so lyrical when he was young. He was just spitting lyrics from his mouth. Yeah? Spitting lyrics from his mouth. To building an industry now, to mentoring other people. Even when he hooked up with Beyonce, I never liked it. I said, man, how can this unsanctified guy hook up with Beyonce? But man, look what they created.
Yeah.
Look what they created. Nobody can touch that. These are the guys who made money with their message. I'm thinking, right. So if that's what happened, where am I? Then he talked about the next stage. The guys who made money with their mind. The guys who made money with their imagination. That's the economy in which we live now. The guys who are making money with their imagination. Apple, Microsoft. Yeah, their imagination, software. And that's what Russell Brunson talks about, software, all the time. So if you want to leverage something, get into the software industry, your imagination. Now, sometimes we get things downloaded to us and we think, no, that can't happen. It's not possible. Man, start tapping into your imagination, guys, because that's where it's happening. When Steve Jobs took something from different industries and combined them, Steve Jobs never made phones. He wasn't a telephone. He wasn't in the phone industry, was he? He wasn't. Steve Jobs was making computers like Microsoft. Yeah. But he combined music and telephone and mobile phones, totally changed the industry. Yes. There are people right now who, every time Apple releases a product, they queue up outside a store for hours just to get the latest release. Can you imagine if you created something that you had a hungry audience for, that was just dying for what you had, dying for what you brought to the market? What would that do to your life? So we're in the age of the imagination, and the imagination and the mind, and then he comes right back to the guys who make money and then make money work for them. The investors, the guy who make money work for them. And no matter what, the money is constantly working, because that's where you need to strive to get to. Let money work for you so you don't have to work so hard for everything. So how does that help me, man? My head's going over. What am I going to do? All right, listen, okay. I like speaking. I enjoy speaking. I enjoy coaching people to speak. I enjoy going to conferences. How can I combine those loves into what I do and create something that helps other people? Now, there was a guy that I interviewed called Martin Glynn. Dr. Martin Glynn. This guy is very controversial. Yeah, very controversial. He's a criminologist at Birmingham University, and he works in a lot of the prisons with young Black men. And he talks about how he connects with young Black men and helps to bridge the university material to the level at which they can understand it. He even took research and created it into rap. Digital rap or something he called it. Wow. And it went viral. But he's very controversial. And when we did the interview, the one thing he talked about, he said, Alex, I've done everything that I wanted to do. I come from the streets. I did my doctorate. I help people, guys in prison. My material has gone across the world. My material is in universities across the world. I've written several books that have been published by a major company. I've had profile in the Sunday Times. I've done everything. But you know what I really want to do now? I want to do something that helps to leave a legacy. Oh, and I'm thinking, well, you've done all that. Why are you still thinking about legacy? But he dropped this in my head that we all have to have a legacy angle to everything we do now. We don't know how much time we have left on this earth. And you've seen it in the past 12 months. So here's it now. Here's what I've been thinking. I've even bought the domain already for this, yeah? I'm setting up something called the Black Inspirational Speakers Network. Why? Because I believe there's a lot of Black people who naturally speak. They haven't got a problem speaking. They haven't got a problem delivering what they deliver. They're full of faith. They're full of everything else, but they're not outward facing. Yeah. They're busy doing and facing something else. They're not outward facing. They don't think they have something that can help change the world. They're so caught up in their professions and the jobs they hate doing, that they've been doing for the past 20 years, they don't realize that what they have is exactly the solutions that the world is looking for. So I thought, if I can create a domino effect with the Black Inspirational Speakers Network in the UK, raising up speakers, helping them to empower others, teaching them how to empower themselves, how to empower others. And this empower is spelled with 2 R's on the end. And it's an acronym that means something. And there's also has a magazine attached to it to profile the speakers. And let me tell you why this came about. About 3 years ago, I had this vision. No, ever since I went to Hillsongs in Australia, and I sat there in the crowd and I felt the energy. And this was like 5,000 people at the time. I had this vision of going to O2 with 10,000 people, 10,000 people. And I thought, okay, I could do that with Les Brown. I could do that with Les Brown. Les Brown's famous. I could do that with Les Brown for 10,000 people. So one year Les Brown was coming to the UK, and I thought, why don't I make a connection to go on Les Brown's platform? And then something said to me, why don't you create it, Alex? Why don't you create that? So every time I interview someone on the Message Talk Show, I say, I have this vision of being an O2 speaking to 10,000 people. Do you want to be one of the speakers on that program? And they go, yes, I'm in, Alex, I'm in. And so, but how is it going to happen, Alex? I didn't have a clue. I kept talking about this. So now we're putting together the Black Inspirational Speakers Network that has an impact on our community, that empowers people, empower others. But the one thing we must understand, and this is what Myron says, we need to pull down from our imagination. Pull down from our imagination. Yeah? Witty things goes about. God gives people witty ideas. But sometimes we let it pass over our heads and we let it go. So we need to pull down the ideas from our imagination, then think, how can I monetize that? How can I create an income from that to help my community, to help if you don't help yourself first, you can't help nobody. If you don't help yourself first, you can't help nobody. So how can I monetize that? And by monetizing that, helping myself, I can help and make an impact in the rest of the world, of my community.
That's very true. And Alex, we've got to remember also that Les Brown is very famous, but he's an American. And he's over here several times. I've heard him several times, heard him on YouTube, heard him on Clubhouse. He is amazing. But we have capable people in this country too.
Dawn, you're talking now, Dawn. It's time to raise up. It's time to raise up the people in this country, Dawn.
Absolutely.
It's time for us to lift up, create a rising tide. Create a rising tide in the UK.
Well, I can send you a list of 100 people straight away who should be on your Black Inspirational Speakers Network.
Whoa, man.
Have you created a funnel for it yet?
By tomorrow, the funnel will be up.
Okay.
The funnel will be up within 24 hours. I've bought the domains, Black Inspirational Speakers Network.co.uk, Black Inspirational Speakers Network.com. I've bought the 2 domains to feed into each other.
Absolutely. Oh,
it'll be up. It'll be up to take details. You know, we've got to create the rising tide. You see, church took us so far, and all thanks to the guys who did church. They did the best they could. They created community. Yeah, I even think that's where Facebook got the ideas from about creating community, because they saw how well churches created hubs for people, hubs for people to strive, hubs for people to get along. Yeah. And so if you create a community that helps each other to rise, that there's no competition there's no competition, guys, because I have a gift, you have a gift, you can't be Alex, I can't be Dawn.
Very
and
true.
So the Bible says that the sheep hears your voice. The sheep hears your voice. So there is a group of people out there who want to follow you. They want to hear every word you do, but they're only going to hear you if you open your mouth. They're only going to hear you if you promote your stuff, if you market your stuff. And that's one of the things that we fail to do. We're very timid with it in this country about marketing ourselves, marketing, the brand.
Mm-hmm.
We're still in the younger generation are quite tuned into it, but the guys in the 50 pluses, they're kind of, oh God, I can't make this about me. I can't make this about, but it is about you. Mm. It is about you. If it's not about you, who is it else about?
Yeah. Because, and we've got to think about the fact that within a church environment, it's wonderful that the speaker is teaching us about the Bible and teaching about better ways to live, but they don't teach very much about economics. Now, obviously, I'm from Black economics, so that matters to me. They don't teach about how to ensure that you're earning enough money to feed your family, to grow a business. They don't teach enough about career progression. You know, so you're finding that church is teaching more about love and not doing right and doing right and not doing wrong and how to fellowship. And that's good. But there's another side of our lives where we are, unfortunately, as a Black community, still suffering in terms of our economics. Our status is still on average low. There's a lot of people getting through and doing really well, and we feature some of these on our website, but you know, there are still hundreds of thousands, millions in fact, of people out there who need a better job, who need their business to grow, who need to be able to have the courage to follow through their ideas. And I think that this Black Inspirational Speakers Network can really help to do that, because the best way to actually move people is to speak to them. Hey. It's not even about a website or social media. If you can get somebody...
It's the word.
Yes. If you can get somebody speaking to you for 10 minutes, they can change your life.
It's the word.
And this is what you're going to build. It's fantastic. We're here to help you.
It's serious, Dawn. It is very serious about what we can do when we knock our heads together. And church has done a good job doing what they do. But you remember, the same people that they need to eat, they need to feed their families. Mm-hmm. But we're so talented, man. Yeah. I've never met such a group of talented people that the secular world taps into all the time. Mm. The secular world taps into our music, taps into our singers, taps into our musicians.
Yes.
But you don't see our musicians on the forefront of the mainstream world driving it, because we've just learned to be, we're subdued with what we have. Just be content with what we've got. But it's not about me being content with what I've got. It's about me helping others. In order to help others, I have to help myself. And we talk about this from the Bible's perspective about the overflow. Yeah. If I'm overflowing with what I have, then I can help you. But if I'm in deficit, how am I going to help you in deficit?
Exactly. And churches in particular should consider this as a very important thing for them to do, to promote the people within their services who have the talent to speak. Because if they can motivate the rest of the audience, then your congregation is going to do better. You're going to get more money in because they're earning more. You're going to get more tithes, more offerings. And I know a lot of people, especially during this pandemic, the churches have been suffering, because when people aren't going to church, they're not paying as much money into the church as they used to. So they've suffered over the last year. So even churches themselves need to think of themselves as a business entity. How are we going to survive, but not just survive, thrive? How are we going to set a good example for our congregation?
And the group of guys I was talking to yesterday for the last 2 days, they said they did more business during lockdown than any time in their lives. Yeah. So they said that from inception to now, ClickFunnels worldwide sales is 7.5 billion. Yeah. Wow. From inception to now. But guess how much of that was in the last 12 months? Guess.
50%.
50% of that. 3.5 billion was in the last 12 months.
Wow.
3.5 billion. So irrespective of what we were going through, money was still changing hands in our economy.
Yes, it was. Wow.
It's just that we haven't got anything to tap into that flow. We have to break into that flow so it comes through us as well.
Yeah, but I've got to say, Alex, you are a good ambassador for ClickFunnels, I've got to say.
Well, I see myself going across the stage
At some point, they need to be paying you for all the advertising.
Receiving the 2 Comma Club Award. The 2 Comma Club Award. Yes, I did it. Yes, well, I've done it.
I think you need to send me your affiliate link so we can put it under this video, because seriously, you've been giving them huge shout outs in this interview.
Yeah, well, and there is something that Myron does, and I went on it last month, and I think it will help people. It will help people as well. And it's called, he does a program, and the link to it is called Make More Offers challenge.com. Yeah, I think that's it. GetMakeMoreOffers.com. We need to make sure. Okay. But we'll put the link up for that, right? You know what? Because he says the reason why you're not succeeding is because you're not doing enough sales.
Yeah, not making enough offers.
When you walk into a supermarket, what do you think they're doing from the minute you walk in to the minute you walk out?
Yeah.
They're offering you everything, discount on all as you walk around the shop. And then when you get to the very cashier to pay, there's something there attracting your attention again. Yeah? He said, we're not making enough offers. And because we're not making enough offers, we're not practicing the sales techniques, the sales scripts. It's practice. You know, we say practice makes permanent.
Yeah.
Well, there was another speaker that I listened to quite a lot, and his name is Peng Joon from Malaysia. And Peng Joon says, practice makes permanent. Yeah, he said it's not about perfection. Practice makes permanent. You keep doing it, you understand to do it, you get better at doing it, and you do it more frequently. That's it. So imagine having something to say. Imagine having something to say, and you say it more frequently, and you say it more every time. What happens to you? Wow. You become a motivational speaker.
Absolutely.
Oh my God, man. I'm just so overpowered with what's about to happen, Dawn. I'm just thrilled, thinking that we can make a difference to our country. We can make a difference to our communities. Yeah. And we can generate a momentum around the country that inspires people to take action. It pulls people up from where they are.
Okay. One thing I want to step back at now. Tell me about your lowest point in your entrepreneurial journey. Because leaving from a comfortable job to a successful business, and then stepping away from both of those things, you know, it couldn't have been easy for you. Tell me about your lowest point and how did you get over that?
The lowest point in my life was the day I lost everything. Me and my wife, years ago, we purchased the house we were going to retire in. And so we pushed ourselves to the hill to buy the house we're going to retire in. And that was the plan, that if everything else failed, this is the house that will give us the capital to retire in. And because of all the stuff I was doing, because of all the stuff I was diving, I was running, I was trying to do, and some of it was working, and there was twists to it. And because of that, I lost everything. Yeah, I lost everything. And around about 2013, I was declared bankrupt.
Oh.
And we lost everything.
Oh.
She stood beside me. And I didn't know how I was going to survive that.
Oh.
I remember walking to the office, and I just felt like my body was just going to give. It was going to give, and I had to rush in because it just gave. Because I think, how am I going to recover from this? How am I going to, this late stage in my life, recover from everything that's happened? And I thought I should have just stayed in the city, worked the job until I retire. But I wouldn't have been happy, would I? I wouldn't have been, but the family they just came around. I got 3 great kids, and they just came around and they supported me. Night after night, I would just sit there staring in the living room, just staring, thinking, what am I going to do? I couldn't sleep. I couldn't go to bed. Even now, I don't take more than 5 hours sleeps each night, 4 to 5 hours sleep. My brain's just busy racing away. Because I'm thinking, how am I going to come back from this? How am I going to make this? And so Myron said that there's a price to pay for everything. And you've got to pay the price sometime in your life. There's a price to take the risk. There's a price to push yourself out. There's a price to do it. There's a learning curve you have to go through if you don't know everything. Sometimes the best way to get through the learning curve is to be taught by someone else. It's to be mentored and coached by someone else. But imagine if you, at the time, you couldn't find, or you couldn't link, or you didn't connect, and you didn't know, or you didn't see, and you had no connections with those kind of people, but where you are, you were struggling, and you think you knew it, and you think you could, and you think you can, and you pushed yourself all the same, but still circumstances around you just destroyed everything. That was the lowest point in my life, the lowest point. And it probably took me years just to build up my confidence from that, to think it's possible. I stood somewhere and I thought, if I took my life, then probably the insurance would pay out and the ones left after me would be better off. I thought, what would happen, the after effect of leaving like that, unfulfilled, my destiny not fulfilled, the trauma for the rest of my family, what would happen? But in that time, I was still listening to guys like Russell Brunson. I was still listening to guys like Les Brown. I was listening to guys like Tony Robbins. I was listening to those guys because every time they tell a story, they come to the brink of disaster. Tony Robbins talks about being bankrupt 7 times before he actually made it. And he talks about the day he knew he made it was when he was being transported to a conference in California. And he was in the helicopter and he looked down and he said he saw all these people on the road walk into the conference, mass amount of people on the road. And he turned to the helicopter pilot and he said, where are those people going? Where are they going? And the guy said, they're coming to listen to some guy called Tony. They're coming to listen to some guy called Tony. Some guy called Tony they're coming to listen to. And Tony realized, wow, they're coming to listen to me. And that's when it dawned on him that, wow, something, he's cracked it, he's done something to change the world. And so the struggle is hard. Myron says you can either struggle at the beginning of your life, so you don't have to struggle at the end, or you coast at the beginning, so you struggle at the end. At some point, you're going to struggle. And that's why in Master Your Message, I talk about your mess. I talk about the moments in your life that you need to share with people. I talk about the experiences that you have in your life that you need to share, the struggles, the successes, and your strengths. I talk about those things, and that forms the mess of your message. Because until you can connect with that point, you can't connect with real people, because real people have real problems with real issues.
Yeah. Wow.
Wow.
Wow. Alex, you have a gift that God has given you, and He's taken you through all those different stages for a reason. For a reason.
Wow.
So for people who are stuck right now, what would you say to them? People who are stuck, who seem to be going around in circles and they're not getting off this merry-go-round. What would you suggest?
You're stuck. Sometimes we're stuck because we haven't got the right information. We haven't got enough information. We're stuck because we've made the wrong decisions. We're stuck because we're in the wrong environment. We're talking to the wrong people. We're stuck because we're not listening. But the thing about being stuck is that no one can decide to make you unstuck. It's a decision that you have to make that, you know what, if I'm stuck here, I need to go and find some help to get me unstuck. I need to go find someone who's been through this, who can help me navigate this path. I need to take some action because I recognize that I'm stuck. There's a friend of mine who, for the past 6 months, I've been talking to because of what's transpired in his life. At a late stage in his life, everything just dissipated for him. And one minute he was there thinking everything was great, next minute he was divorced. But the one thing that he said, by talking to me, help him do, was put everything in context. Over a 6-month period, he was able to put his life in context and realized that he was stuck and he never knew it. He was stuck somewhere and he never knew that he was stuck. He was so busy on the treadmill doing what he thought was what he should be doing. But at the same time, that was affecting people in his life that he didn't realize. He didn't see it. He didn't understand. But by talking to someone else, he then realized. It then came to him. He saw where he was stuck. And it wasn't until he tried to make himself unstuck that he realized he was unstuck. Because he was caught in a system, he was caught in something that was creating disorder in his life, but he didn't see it. He couldn't see it himself until someone else pointed it out to him. Mm. And that's what Myron talks about. Was it Myron or one of the guys talked about entropy? Yeah, it was Myron. He talks about entropy. You know, in physics and in the law of dynamics, entropy is disorder. We have to create order in our lives. But if we don't create the order, disorder, other people can create an order in your life that is disorder for you because it's not what you're supposed to be doing. Mm. You've got to avoid that.
So perhaps people need to find themselves someone close who can help them to change their lives, that can help them to step up further, whether that could be a family friend, whether it could be a coach, somebody who's outside of their normal circles, because that coach could help them go up 10 times the rate than they're going up now. And people don't realize how important a coach is. Tell us how important a coach is.
Well, if I take you back to all the guys that I've seen that's been around Russell Brunson since 2012, 2010, 2008, there's a video of Russell Brunson speaking at internet marketing session. And he was trying to sell his ideas at the time and he couldn't speak and he couldn't sell. He had a shirt on with a tie and he looked cranky. He looked as if he was totally out of his boundaries. And in the end, he got so frustrated that he said, if you want to buy, just buy. And he walked off the stage. There's a video of him doing that. Roll forward 10 years later, that guy on stage at Grant Cardone's 10X conference sold $3 million worth of products in 40 minutes.
Wow.
On stage. People were running to buy from him. The guys who came around him all talk about not having the money to step into the program that he was recommending for them to do. And he always said to them, it's not about where you are right now, but it's about where you're heading and where you want to get to. And sometimes we're so caught in the current situation that they become shackles around our feet. And the shackles keep reining us back and holding us there because of the decisions that we're not making. He says, look at something, make a decision, and just leap into it. And Myron talks about this. The first time that he tapped into one of the mastermind programs, and he never had the money at the time. I think it was that one. He never had the money at the time, but he got the deposit together and went in. And his life changed, because from that moment on, as he started to apply the concepts, and he started to apply the marketing techniques, and he started to talk to people, his confidence levels changed. Everything about him changed. The account balance changed. There is something about when your bank account balance changes, you know, and you know that you've done it, that the confidence it gives you is insurmountable. But you can't judge yourself by where you're standing right now. Where you're standing right now is no indication of what you can become and who you're meant to be.
Strong words, strong words.
Well, imagine if Steve Jobs, at the point when Apple sacked him from his own company, decided that it was over. And he just went away and hid himself. Yeah, but it didn't stop him. He started a new company at that point in time. And some years later, they hired him back into the company, went back and took over his company. Apple even borrowed money from Microsoft because they were going under. Just to survive. Man, anywhere you can get help from, get it. Get it. Because it's about surviving. Because once you surpass the survival threshold, you're going to thrive.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Alex. That's amazing. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we finish?
Wow. The only thing I can say to you guys, if you want to come on board with this is last night I became a founder member to the next stage of ClickFunnels.
Really?
I missed the first stage, but I hooked into the second stage. And when they release, finally, everything they want to release in ClickFunnels, I'll be canceling every other software that I have that drives my sites and drives any affiliate programs that I do and any courses that I do, right? Because they've put together something that's faster than anything else that's out in the market. And I become a founder member. I'm saying to you guys, if you want to become a founder member of the Black Inspirational Speakers Network, then you need to go to www.blackinspirationalspeakersnetwork.co.uk and register.
Yes.
This is no ordinary move.
Oh, this is exciting. Wow. Well done, Alex. Well done. I look forward to seeing this new network grow and make waves. And yes, holding events in the O2,
Ooh.
in the Royal Albert Hall, in Wembley, wherever you want to go, traveling around the world. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Absolutely.
We'll leave a legacy.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for listening to the ideas. The voice of God is speaking to you in so many different ways, and you've followed through. And I know this is going to be amazing. I think today, the 24th of September, 2021, is the date of our interview. I think we should talk again on this time next year.
Woo!
We will
It's
be making announcements about the amazing things you've been doing over the year.
Today, I'm in my dining table that I've captured as my studio. When we talk again, I'll be in the purpose-built office, mate.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, Alex.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Don. Thank you very much for all you've been doing through Black Economics, for inspiring me to take action, for bringing me along, for dragging me along, for encouraging me, for saying, Alex, you need to come and do this. Yes, Dawn, come and do this, Alex. You'll be good. You've got so much inside of you, Alex. thank you very much for that, because you don't understand what these things do for people. You don't understand, and you don't know what they're at when they're where people are at. When you talk to them, you don't know. When you get the unction to talk to people and encourage them to shift and move them, you don't know what's going on in their lives. So thank you for being obedient.
And thank you for always being there for us, always being willing. You never said no to me, apart from one time you were out of the country at a conference. That was the only time you ever said no to me. Apart from that, you've always been there, you've always been supportive, and I want to say thank you for that, and thanks to Sharon as well for enabling you to lend us your talents. And I remember that time actually you said you weren't going to be able to be there. You said, oh, I'll send my wife can do it. Okay. But one way or another, you wanted your family to be involved, and she was amazing too.
The audacity, say I'm going to send my wife.
Yeah, that was absolutely amazing. She actually came as well. She was fantastic. So awesome. Well done.
Thank you.
We'll have to talk with her next, yeah?
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alex. You take care.
Okay.